Very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good evening, Milford. Good evening, Porter Townships, and any township that I'm not aware of that is here. Good evening. My name's Christa Caceres, and I'm very, very happy to be here with you all tonight. Let's see. What can I tell you that she hasn't told you, other than my policies? I moved to the Poconos about 12 years ago because I lived in the city, New York, and we wanted a place to raise our children. We wanted to be able to have a home with a little bit of land. You know, in New York, even if you buy a building, it's kind of like a three-family, and even though you make a little bit of money, it's still like living in an apartment, right? So we wanted some space. My husband wanted to cut grass. We just wanted some quiet.
Have you gotten over that?
Yeah, okay. So we looked around for a while, and then we found the Poconos, and we fell in love. I don't know if you all ever really take it in, but driving into the Delaware Water Gap, approaching that toll, it is just the most beautiful sight, especially in the summertime, you know, that we had ever seen. So we chose to settle down here and raise a family. I'm still in love with the Poconos. You know, I still believe that this place is the same place that it was in 2005 when I arrived. My concern is the people that are legislating are not doing the right things by the residents. They're not doing the right things by the locals. I'm sure we've heard a lot about locals versus commuters, or maybe not. In my area, if you're not born there, or if you're not there since maybe one, you're kind of like, you know, different, and it's okay. So there's local and commuters. But I feel like for all the nepotism and all the ethical problems that we have in our district and within the counties, the people who have been there the longest, and that's the one thing that they talk about, that they're most proud about, that they're from here and, you know, they were born here, they're not loyal to the people who are loyal to them. And I say that because, as she mentioned, Rosemary Brown, she'll come to an event, she'll go to a lot of events, and she's a nice lady, don't get me wrong, she'll make a fantastic neighbor. But I believe as an elected official or a public servant, she's absolutely ineffective, at least for the low and middle class. And that's why I'm here. There are people who work 2 and 3 part-time jobs in my district, so they miss Little League games. They miss their kids' recitals. They miss elementary school events. Things that used to be a norm, right? Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not a fan of Trump whatsoever, but I do believe we can make America great again. But in my mind, what's great about America is when I was a child, you could work Monday through Friday, right? 40 hours, call it a day. Have the whole weekend to do whatever you wanted with your family. Go to church, picnic, whatever, and come back. It's not that way anymore. We're not living to live. We're fighting to live. And that's not the way it should be. Most of us in this room are probably in our 20s, right? So we, well, 30s. So we understand the value of work. We also understand the value of being respected for the work that you do. And that's what I feel that's missing. I feel that at this point, the low and middle class are disrespected, we're tossed aside. That's unacceptable. We're not only the backbone of this community, we're the backbone of America. And we deserve respect, and we deserve to be treated with respect and not to be taken for granted. And unfortunately, my current elected official who is running for re-election, I feel that she's taking advantage of us, and she's kind of really not doing what she's supposed to do. Now, I have a few pillars of my policy that I'd like to discuss with you, and these would be non-negotiable should I decide, or actually, should you decide, sorry, that I'm worthy of being the next state representative for the 189th district. These are non-negotiables for me. One would be raising the minimum wage. We have not seen a raise in the minimum wage since 2009. It's $7.25. That's babysitting money. That's not money for an adult with children, let alone a single parent, God forbid. Okay? Second non-negotiable, we have to and must get more funding for the opioid and heroin crisis that we're facing in this county. As I've been traveling, getting my petition signed, and I'm still kind of halfway there. I have until March 6th to get 300, but they tell you to get double that amount or triple that amount. So I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'll get there. And I've been meeting a lot of people, and there's a few themes that I've been hearing over and over. One is the drug deals that are going on in certain neighborhoods, they're now scared. They've been living there maybe 12, 15, 18 years. They don't recognize where they live anymore. They're very concerned about the problem. I agree. And there are solutions that we can have for the opioid and heroin crisis. But first thing we must do is recognize that it's a disease. Okay? It's something that unfortunately happens to people who try this drug. You try it one time, you're hooked, it's over. We need more funding. We have to treat this as a serious problem and a disease just like alcoholism and everything else. Okay? They in Harrisburg are trying to make cuts to Medicaid, and unfortunately 80% of the people who use methadone clinics and other type of rehab facilities count on Medicaid to get their treatment. Another thing that we should be considering and certainly trying to boost funding for would be therapy, mental health, not just for heroin and opioid people who are addicted, but for regular people like you and I. I don't think people realize when they commute every day, like I used to commute for 12 years, I would go to Morristown, Parsippany, Lehigh Valley. That takes such a toll on you, and you become a different person and you don't realize it. And I think that we ought to remove the stigma as well from seeking therapy. I think there's something really therapeutic and important and valuable about taking care of yourself and kind of getting that stuff off of your shoulders. And unfortunately, as we know, Congress tried to strip the ACA of their essential benefits, but I cannot tell you all enough how vital talking to somebody is, and I'll share with you a little personal reason why. As a child, I was a victim of I was a victim of childhood molestation and domestic violence in my home from the age of 9 to about 15. And I did not seek treatment. One of those, when you're in a traumatic situation like that, your body has a very interesting way of filing things away. So while you have other things to do, you just go on with your life and you try to forget about it, and it just gets tucked away, but it doesn't go away. So as I evolved outside of my childhood home, I moved on, got married, was happy, and on the first try, sorry if there's too much information, I got pregnant with my first child. I was very happy. I waited until I got married to have a kid. I was trying to do the things in order, and I lost my daughter at 24 weeks. Again, instead of getting treatment, instead of seeing somebody, I rushed back to work, threw myself back into my work, and it all came to hit me really later on. So again, mental health is very important. I believe that mental health should be mandatory for law enforcement just because of what they see every day. I believe that mental health should be mandatory for veterans because of what they see every day. I don't think we realize how important that is. Moving on. The next thing that is non-negotiable for me is our tax problem. I have been hearing from my elected official for the 8 years that she's been in office that she is going to eliminate property tax. If she's not going to eliminate it, she's going to reduce it. If she's not going to reduce it, she's going to negotiate about it. I have been hearing about this every year at her reelection, and I'm tired of hearing about it. I'm tired of the back and forth from Harrisburg, as I'm sure you guys are. In my district, Monroe County people, they can pay $10,000, $12,000, $14,000 in property tax. In some cases, their property tax is more than the home, more than the value of the home they're paying for. It's more than their actual mortgage payment. There's something wrong with that. There's something wrong when the politicians are not empathetic to what you go through, to what you have to deal with, to how you're going to pay $12,000 to $14,000 in property tax. I have several solutions for that. One, obviously, which is obvious, we've been hearing about it. Governor Wilk's been trying to do it, and I will stand behind him in full support. That is imposing a severance tax. We are the only state out of 14 in the country that allow fracking that do not impose a severance tax. Thank you. That's absolutely ridiculous. Another piece that bothers me is the fact that when I go and we, just like you all do, you work hard, 40, 50, 60 hours, some ungodly amount of time you do a week to make ends meet, and then you go spend your money at Target and Walmart, and guess what? They're not paying the taxes they're supposed to. Why not? Because their donors are taking care of people in Harrisburg? That's not the way it's supposed to be. If I don't pay my taxes, I lose my house. If I don't pay my bills, I lose my car. Come on. We're all supposed to be adults, right? So can't be like toddlers. I don't want to pay taxes. Well, they don't want to pay taxes. It's not about what they want. It's about what we need in this state and in this community. We need those resources. We need recurring revenue that's going to boost our education funding, that's going to provide the additional funding that we need to make sure that people that need Medicaid, CHIP for kids, things like that are taken care of. Now, as I've been traveling, getting my petitions, I've been talking to a lot of my future constituents. And they've been sharing a lot of personal things with me that I'd like to kind of discuss a couple things with you tonight, just to give you an idea, and I'm sure some of you in here could probably relate. One lady that I met yesterday, she was a very nice young lady, probably about 28 years old, said she and her husband make great money. Great by, I'm not sure what standards, but they make great money, so I'm assuming it's well more than $725. And they're afraid to have children. Imagine that. They're afraid to have children because they don't think they can afford it. They can't afford the babysitter. They can't afford whatever it is they would need to take care of their children. So they're actually holding off on starting a family. Another woman I met today, her name is Miss Centron. She's disabled. She wanted to know if I could put more money in her check. And I laughed and I said, well, no, unfortunately, I can't put money in your check, but what I can do is hold the funding that you're receiving right now and stop them from stripping any additional money as far as state disability would go to you. I'm on your side because I'm one of you. I'm not rich, I'm not wealthy, my car's crappy. It's a couple months from probably collapsing. I owe a lot of bills, so I'm not going to stand here before you and try to pretend like that I'm not behind on a couple. But what I have is passion. What I have is empathy. What I believe is that we all deserve better than we've received. And if you believe the same thing, please consider voting for me. My name is Christa Caceres. You can reach me at www.facebook.com/ChristaPA189. My Twitter name is also the same. My website is also the same, Christopher PA189. One last thing I want to touch and I'll let you go. Income tax needs to be addressed here in this state. There's a proposal right now in Harrisburg that I fully support. It's called the fair tax. Right now, any income that's made, regardless of the source, is taxed the same at 3.07%. What I'd like to see happen, and what I would certainly support and get behind should I be elected, is to reduce the income tax we're paying right now from 3.07 to around 2.85, maybe 2 3/4. What we would then do and could then do is raise other income like lottery winnings, inheritance, stock payments, anything other than actual hardworking wages, we would bump to 6.5. Now, I don't know about you, but if I go to my store and scratch off a lottery ticket and hit 100 grand, take that 6,500, I'm okay. These are the type of courageous and creative ideas that your legislators should be doing. And if they're not, you need to change them. I swear, one last thing and I'm done, because I could go on all night. I'm really hot about this. So we had that tragedy, another tragedy in Parkland. And I'm really, as a mother, I'm tired. I'm tired of excuses from Congress. I'm tired of inactivity from our legislators. My legislator decided she would do something, right? So she proposed a bill yesterday and sent out press releases all over, touting her School Violence Prevention Act. What was it? The NRA playbook. Metal detectors in schools and armed security guards. So I wrote an op-ed and I wrote a response to her, and I'm waiting for the answer. Number one, why is that your immediate answer? Why is your immediate answer not stronger background checks to have less guns pointed at our schools? Metal detectors and armed guards, that's fantastic. Who's paying for that? We can't even get funding in our schools. Where's the money coming from? We can't afford it. Thirdly, why is that so reactionary? Why was that your first thought? Why not a more comprehensive approach? The easiest and most logical thing to do would be to have background checks, right? What do we do about kids when they go outside for recess? Did you think this through? You've been in office almost 8 years. Are we going to retrofit the doors and walls so that the bullets can't go through? I mean, when does it end? Where does it end? There are common sense solutions to our problems, but they take courage. I'm the person for the job. I appreciate your time. Again, Christa Caceres, have a lovely evening.